Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the RCP. That's the Real Collective Podcast. I'm Brendan McKeigan. With me, as always, is Sean Tasse, and also my daughter right here, who is just going to walk into frame and say hi to everybody. We've got a great show lined up for you guys. If you're having a good time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And if you want to talk to Sean or I about your own real estate needs or just real estate advice in general, we have our Calendly links below. So book us down there. You can book an appointment with us, and it's fantastic. And today on the show, we're going to be talking about new builds. We're going to be talking about new builds, what to expect, maybe some pros and cons, anything that you might need to get the job done. And she really wants to be on screen today, so there she is.
That's great.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the new builds. I've just gone through it myself. As you can tell, I have been robbed. So if you're watching this, the shelves behind me are empty because I have been packing. We're getting into our new build.
They came to your house and just took all your board games and baseball memorabilia.
Yeah, and my books that were there.
All of the valuables.
Yeah, exactly. That's all they wanted, was to play snakes and ladders.
That's right.
Mainly snakes.
Yes. Yeah.
Lousy thieves.
Yeah. Those wet bandits.
Yeah. We're the sticky bandits now. All right, so I'm just about wrapped up in the process of it, or at least like the first half of the process. Second half afterwards is more like Terry on warranty and putting green painter's tape on all the mistakes that builders inevitably do, because nobody's perfect. And when they're putting up that many homes at one time, there's bound to be mistakes.
Yeah.
So at least knowing that going in kind of helps you a bit. So we've kind of narrowed down a little bit to 4 general areas of what to maybe look for when you're getting into it. And the first one is obviously the most commonsensical. That's the word? The most commonsensical is just doing your research.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to start to look around at what's the reputation of the different builders. You can look them up to see, which builders won which awards, right? They're always doing I think it's GOBA, Greater Ottawa Home Builders Association, GOHBA. They do awards annually, so you can start to see, well, which builders have a good track record of winning these awards. You can also look them up, like you said, Brendan, on Ontario to figure out which builders have the least sort of comebacks, right? Like, there's this issue and Ontario had to get involved versus the builder, resolving those issues themselves. And then you also, just the same as researching a resale home, you also want to understand, okay, well, where am I moving to? What neighborhood am I moving to? What's that going to mean for me and my family? What amenities do they have close by? All that sort of thing. Different builders will release properties in different phases. And if you might be in phase 1, you might be in building for 5, 6, 7 years, which means that your car is never clean, which sucks. I'm telling you, you're driving over mud all the time and you're picking up mud on your car. And it's just, that's part of living in a new build area, So, I mean, you gotta check out the builders, you gotta check out the neighborhood, you gotta figure out what it is that you're getting into, right? Yeah.
And their phase plans and what they intend on doing in each one and how it's going to be laid out. Like, what are the streets even going to be like? Does it make sense? What are you backing onto? What kind of parks are going to be nearby? If it's a big new community, like, are there schools that are going in there? And if there are you right near them? Because that's going to be another whole heap of construction fun. So there's no shortage of things to look into, just to make sure that you're prepared to know what you're getting into.
Man, when we bought our first house that we bought was a new build, and we bought it directly from the builder, and we didn't hire an agent, and that was like the worst mistake that I made. Going directly to the builder and thinking to myself, I'm a salesman. This is before I had my license, right? I know, doing all that sort of thing. And the sales guy sold me, because at the top, like Lindsay and I walked in, both drinking Tim Hortons coffee into the sales center. And so he's like, oh, look, we're putting a plaza in on this corner. It's like just around the corner from where your house is going to be. And in the plaza, they're going to put a Tim Hortons. And we're like, whew, yes, please. Where do we sign? Right? Like walking distance to Tim Hortons, gold. You know what they ended up doing? Not putting in the Tim Hortons there. They ended up putting in a gas station with janky gas station coffee. No, thank you.
Yeah.
So like we got sold, right? And he was like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. And we, I'm sure there was some disclaimer in there saying, this might or might not actually happen, but we just took the guy for his word, which sometimes builder salespeople aren't to be taken at their word.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, maybe we'll get into that a little bit more at the end of the first segment, but yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the reality of it, right? A lot of these guys are more salesmen for a builder, the same way that going into whatever tip top tailors, they're not trying to save you the most money on a suit. They're trying to get you the most expensive suit and all the extra things that they can, right? That's part of it. I mean, even when a server is like, did you want the small drink or the large one? Like all of it. That's all sales. So, and unfortunately, sometimes there are just yes men and women who just say yes to everything that you have as a question or everything that you want on the home. Oh yeah, we could do that. Oh yeah, no problem. Yep. Yeah, we can do that. And then you find out 4 months later, like, oh no, we can't do that. Like, well, you said you could. And then they turn around and say, well, did you get that in writing?
Yeah.
I've had that happen 3 to 4 times throughout my process of, well, did you get it in writing?
Yeah.
And it's the most infuriating thing to have to deal with. So besides what we're going to talk about later on, get everything in writing. That's part of your research, is to make that like your mantra for getting a new build. Get everything in writing. Get it tattooed backwards on your chest like memento so that you get everything in writing. But man, I'm telling you.
Did you get it in writing? Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And then we have obviously, like, if you're getting a new build, there's pros and cons to both new versus resale. So obviously, jumping into that, some of the pros are that when you're getting a new build, it's not exactly like getting a custom home. So I think that was something that we thought is like, oh, we'll be able to pick all of our finishes and have the exact floors that we want and the exact tiles that we want. And that's not the case. Sometimes it's like what they have in stock left that's enough for your house. So that can be a challenge, but I still think one of the pros is being able to select all of your finishes. The con to that is that maybe some people aren't able to picture it before it's laid out in front of them, and that can be difficult. So it could be a pro, it could be a con. Yeah. And then just knowing what kind of finishes you want to get. Really, like, do you want laminate flooring or do you want actual hardwood? A lot of times now hardwood is standard. Maybe you want engineered hardwood because you have kids and pets.
Yeah.
So.
And what color hardwood? And does that color go with the color that you have in the kitchen? That part for me was really tough. Like when we were doing this house, we did get to choose anything that we wanted. And it was almost too overwhelming. So it's nice to have someone, our designer, Heather, who's been on the show, go through and say, well, actually, these are the colors that you need to get. They're going to, work together and be like that. So there are people who specialize in helping choose the finishes. Some other pros and cons, obviously, the pro of living in a brand new home. Nobody else has lived there. Nobody's lived their life there or had their cat pee on the floor or kids scratch the walls or
pee on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Reverse the two. You can guarantee that nobody's died in that house before, right? Or probably.
Well,
Yeah.
You never know what happens in the building process.
Yeah, I feel like that might need to be disclosed. But there's a lot to be said about, well, there's no harmful, there's nothing in the air that you have to worry about. You're not worried about mold. You're not worried about anything like that in terms of like air quality. So there's a lot of pros in that way. Of course, I'd say a lot of the cons have to do with, you get the house and that's fine. It's a nice box, but then you look at the outside, you're like, oh man, we got to do, a lot of times you got to do eaves troughs. You get this little, like, it's not a deck. You get like a steps down, like a landing, like 3 steps, right? So you've got to do your deck or your interlock. You've got to maybe sometimes you have to pave the front drive. All the landscaping outside, all that is up to you. Typically, sometimes the basement isn't finished and you have to finish the basement. So there's still more work to do, where a lot of the times if you're buying a resale home, somebody's lived there and they've gone through the process of doing all those things. The other question is about the financial obligation. When you're buying a brand new house, you need to come up with, good amounts, good chunks of money down as you move through the process. And some people just don't have that, right? Some people, I don't have, $5,000 today and $10,000 in 2 months, or whatever the numbers are, $20,000 in 4 months. It was for our first house, it was a scramble to try and get 5% down, to scrape it all together, leading up to the closing day. So, having that money there and available on their schedule makes it a little bit tough, for sure. So, I mean, there's some good things, some bad things, and it depends on your particular situation, right?
Yeah. And in the second half, I mean, we're going to cover some extra upgrades that you might not think of. But as far as pros and cons go, this isn't really an upgrade because it's something you would have to probably do yourself. But one of the pros to not having a paved driveway yet is it gives you the opportunity to maybe put in a heated driveway. Yeah. We've decided it's going to be worth the investment with the kids and strollers and everything else and whatever. Maybe not so much in the wintertime strollers, but just the ease of not having to worry about shoveling or buying a snow blower or anything like that, and just being able to lay down the coils and then someone's going to come and lay down the rest. I mean, it almost seems like a no-brainer because we don't have to tear up a driveway to do it. So it's a great chance to be able to do it on a half the budget sort of thing, because it's already included, right? They're already going to do the driveway. So go buy the coils, get someone to lay it down properly. Bob is your uncle. Yeah. Bob is your coiled uncle who melts snow.
I feel like Bob is everybody's uncle.
He really is.
I have at least one Uncle Bob.
Yeah, me too.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's very exciting.
Yeah. And then another thing we want to talk about a little bit too is, and then we've kind of covered a little bit, but why bring an agent with you when you go to a home builder's office?
Yeah. So like, you don't have to. There's no financial win one way or the other. If you bring an agent or if you don't bring an agent, the cost to use the consumer is exactly the same. Of course, bringing an agent, there's an extra layer of protection, right? Somebody who knows what they're doing, who's like you or like me, we've been through the process before. We know the pitfalls, what to watch out for, and how to protect our clients, not just in terms of, the selections and what to pick in terms of like, hey, here's your one chance to get 9-foot ceilings. You can't, you're going to have a really hard time getting them after you've already built the house. Right. Yeah. Or, plumb in that second sink. Yeah. It might cost you an extra, whatever it is, $600 or $800 or $1,000 now. But if you want to do that down the road, it's going to be a lot harder. Right. What to choose for your elevation. So elevation is what it looks like on the outside, what cladding they put. Is it stone? Is it brick? Is it vinyl siding? And what that effect might be in 20 years when it's time for you to move into, when it's time for you to sell your home. right? So we're typically thinking as agents, okay, well, what's the effect on this future resale for the property? And then, of course, to review the contract with you to make sure that you're protected through that, to make sure that, hey, if you've got your choice between 7 different lots and they're all the same price, we're going to tell you which of those 7 lots is the best and why, because we work with people on a regular basis who are buying and selling houses, right? And we've heard the buyers on their walkthrough going through a house saying, oh, I don't like this location because of da, 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 da. Well, that experience and that advice can save you as the consumer, where you might not be thinking about some of the things that buyers are telling us, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we talked about before, why bring an agent? It's so that you have someone that's there to protect you and your interests. If you feel like you can do it on your own, then do it on your own. It's not really a sales pitch, but it does help when it comes time to negotiate a contract. And that's another thing that I don't think a lot of people think, because when you get a new build agreement of purchase and sale or contract, they're very lengthy because they have covered their bases with their lawyers to indemnify them of pretty much any wrongdoing for anything ever. So
big word.
Yeah. So the good thing there is, maybe not a lot of people know this, but it's contract negotiations. So you can change that contract. You can cross out things and initial it. You can put other things in there in its place. And we did that for a few things. And it was a way to ensure that it's written down. Did you get it in writing? That it's done and taken care of. So yeah. The contracts can still be negotiated, even the terms.
And not likely the price, but like you say, most importantly, the terms, right? Things like, let's say you buy something now and it's not ready for 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 years in some cases, right? In the case of condos, maybe your life changes. Maybe you don't need that house anymore. Can you assign it to somebody else? Can you, what's an assignment? An assignment is your ability to resell the property before you actually close on it. So you're selling not the property, but you're selling the contractual obligation to inhabit that property or to close on that property down the road, right? Does your contract allow for that, right? What about postponing the completion date? Does your contract allow for postponement because you choose? Oftentimes it allows for postponement because the builder chooses. One thing that really messed us up when we bought our house was the closing date was set in stone. And they said, well, we need you to close on this date because we have to hit our targets. And the reason we're giving you this price is because you're saying that you're closing before the end of January or whatever it was. We didn't actually need to close until April. But again, I didn't have someone protecting me. I didn't have an agent who was able to say, hey, no. You give us this price. Here's when we're closing. The end. Right. And I just bent to the will of the builder as, the first time home buyer walking into the builder's sales center. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss is they don't realize you can, like I said, you can hire an agent to help you go through this process, and it has the ability to save you thousands of dollars, maybe not off the price, but in those terms and conditions of the contract. Right. And that could wind up being huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's quite a few things in there to take in and hopefully help you when it comes time for you to get your new home built. So we'll leave you with that one and take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the fun things that maybe you don't think of asking about upgrades for a house that can make it much more enjoyable and easier, and maybe make it more like a custom home. Because that's the difference. A custom home, you're building it from a scratch with a floor plan that you've hired someone to make for you. These are, you're selecting from a list and they're building them for you. So what can we add to those to make it just a little bit more enjoyable? So we'll talk about that. We'll take a break when we come back. Again, like, subscribe, and share and all that fun stuff. Book us an account link below, and we'll be right back.
This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective. Real Collective brings together best-in-class real estate agents and collective experts in the field to deliver the best possible service to our clients. We govern ourselves with honesty, open-mindedness, and compassion. With diverse skill sets, our agents are able to better serve a wide array of clients, including first-time buyers, first-time sellers, transferees, estate sales, investors, and rural, vacation, and luxury properties. Authenticity and transparency are pillars of our process, which allows us to put our clients at the center of everything we do. Our years of experience and knowledge allow us to deliver prestigious service and optimal results. If you are interested in buying or selling your home, contact us today at realcollective.ca.
Welcome back, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that little message from probably us. Anyway, welcome back to the RCP. We're in the second half now of talking about the new home build experience and what to expect and what you can do. Again, like, subscribe, and share. Download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Book a link with us in Calendly below. Now, in the second half, we're going to talk about some of the fun things that you can do with a new build and some of the fun things that you could ask for that might be worth their weight in gold as far as upgrades go. So the first one that I wanted to get into that I've already mentioned is getting a heated driveway. And to that, getting heated floors, especially if you're finishing your basement. Maybe you want heated floors down there if you're doing some type of not carpet. And then maybe you want to have heated floors in your bathrooms.
Got it. Yeah, it was so nice when they work. That's the other problem, is that it's nice when they work. If it doesn't work, then either you're still shoveling or you still have cold feet in the winter when you walk out of your bedroom and into your bathroom. So yeah, it's nice when it works. And of course, they're coiled and underneath the other things. So if there's an issue with them,
they're just done.
Yeah, that's it. It's a wrap. So
yeah.
That's the first one. The second one is a process I'm going through right now, and there's a hookup that some builders are connected with some solar panel installation companies. So you can actually have your builder link up with a solar panel company. If you want more information about it, the company is called Exicon. I'm hoping at one point to have them on the RCP. I think they're down with RCP.
They know me.
Yeah, of course. So having the builder install solar panels on your house and maybe like a battery pack to go with that, or how that's connected to the grid will be a different question. But yeah, there's I think solar panels is they've got those. Tesla has those tiles, right? Those roof shingles that are made of. Yeah. So there's lots of different ways to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and in this day and age, might be worth it. Might be worth it for you. Yeah. The next one, maybe the first part of it seems obvious, is getting a gas line to your stove, even if you don't have a gas stove. Maybe it's something that somebody wants in the future, so it's already done. And for the sake of however much it costs, which isn't much on a new build, might be worth it. Or also getting the gas hookup for a barbecue outside. And that way you never have to go buy a propane tank ever again. You have it hooked up and it's ready to go anytime that you want it. And that can be very beneficial, as opposed to, there's no worse feeling than starting your barbecue or opening your barbecue and then your tank is just rattling like an empty spray paint can. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. So the problem is the problem is it's not that it rattles. It's that you start it, you turn it on, you go away, you're like, okay, good, we're preheated. You clean off the grill, you put everything on top of it. And you're like, you come back like 5 minutes later to check in on it, because that's like, but that's how often. Like, I'm not just there all the time. Yeah. Oh man, so you got cold meat sitting on the grill. You got to take the tank, go to the gas station. Oh, snap, that gas station's out of propane. You got to go down the street to the next gas station. And yeah, it's brutal. You can also do a gas line for your dryer, right? So you can run that gas line, whether or not you actually use it. I think that's running extra gas lines behind the home, like behind the walls, is good. And that also brings us into the next one, which is, again, running stuff behind the home. So setting up a smart home at the time before you put the walls up, right? So run as much of the stuff as you can inside. That's a thing that the builder can do before, so you don't have to worry about doing it after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get your own smart home. Sometimes you can buy things and give it to the builder and have them install it. So you'll still be able to kind of choose what you want and where you want it to go. Yeah. And they'll do it for you, obviously at a cost. To the barbecue hookup outside, maybe you also want to eventually get a hot tub. So having a hot tub hookup outside, fun little thing. And at least it's there.
Yeah.
It's a blip on the radar as far as costs go. And then it's just ready.
Yeah.
It's just ready for you.
Again, that's all the behind the scenes stuff, right? That's the electrical guy. The electrical guy's already there. So, hey, just, run that extra conduit, run it outside, and, leave that circuit off. You even often you'll have like contractors there who might be doing decks or interlock or whatever outside. Maybe have them do a pad that you will eventually put your hot tub on, right?
Yeah.
Get down the road thing. So you've got people who are there doing work. If there's things that you're thinking that might happen down the road, it makes sense to do that. And almost on the same level, talking about having them install things, a lot more people are talking about electric cars with gas prices the way they are. Maybe have them install an electric car charger, either in the garage or just outside or whatever it might be. Again, you can buy a car charger for about $1,000. We're talking about all this power stuff. You might actually even pay for the upgrade of the 200 amp panel, which is not fun or exciting, but it gives you the power to run all of these things we're talking about.
Yeah, we actually made sure that it was there, 200 amp panel. Yeah. And that was one of the things that we put in the contract. And it does obviously depend on the size of the home too. Like sometimes it does come standard. So on a lot of the newer builds, apparently some of them are doing that on quite a bit anyway. So here's hoping that that you've negotiated that in there. I'm just going to keep going on the electrical stuff so we can get it out of the way. A lot of times check your floor plans, because even in this day and age, sometimes rooms don't have lights. Oh God, I just don't understand it. I feel like it's a cash grab. We're like, oh, did you want lights in there? That's extra. Everything's an upgrade. So we had our whole main floor. I think we added lights to almost every room. There's like the little front room kind of thing in an office. So we added overhead lights to those, so that it wasn't just a lamp in the corner. And then our main living room had no lights. And I'm like, why in this day and age? So we had to add 6 spotlights in there. And then we added a couple of lights and made sure that it lined up with the island the right way. Your kitchen island, because sometimes they don't. So extra lights and switches is a big one.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Another one is ceiling height. Just on the main floor, like you only have one chance to give yourself extra ceiling height. And typically, if you're getting a 9-foot ceilings on the main floor, or maybe 10-foot ceilings, you also have more exterior cladding, likely bigger windows, and the cost for extra ceiling height. More finishing material on the inside, more insulation, all that sort of stuff. Cost for extra ceiling height is not that big. You can do higher ceilings on the main floor is probably the best investment. Higher ceilings on the second floor, probably not as much a great investment. Higher ceilings in the basement, for whatever reason, seems like, I don't know why, but it seems like it might be more beneficial to have higher ceilings in the basement than on the second floor, which is kind of crazy to say, but I think a lot of people put their, gym equipment down in the basement. So if you're on a treadmill or if you're on a whatever and you're jumping, you don't want to be touching your head to the ceiling after you finish it off. If you've got any ductwork running through there, and I think you can increase the ceiling height in the basement for like $6,000 on the main floor by like $9,000. So whether they dig down a little bit deeper or whether your elevation goes up a little bit higher, there might be some value there. Again, depending on you and your life and how you're trying to live in that house, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things that might be helpful is running at least the plumbing. Maybe if you're not finishing the basement, but even if you are, getting a wet bar or having it set up so that you have a wet bar downstairs. Because maybe you're entertaining, maybe you're having a good time, maybe you have a little bar fridge down there with your sodas and your juices and your tequila. But it's just nice not to have to run back up and down and have that wet bar there. Like, just have a cold drink of something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, oftentimes it'll be so easy that they might be building a bathroom for you. And then just on the other side of that wall, just, hey, put a sink there. And then you've got some cabinets and you get a little countertop, and it just looks like a mini replica of what your kitchen looks like. And it carries the whole thing together. There's a really good opportunity there. The other thing is, whatever you're into. So like maybe you're the kind of person who has an aquarium, right? Maybe they can hook up the plumbing for that aquarium and build it between two walls. Or maybe you're the kind of person who wants a home theater. Okay, well, have them rig the home theater in the basement in that theater room. Or maybe you're super into like old style arcade rooms. Okay, well, you're going to need a lot of plugs. So make sure that your plugs are set. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're super into bowling and you want to set up your bowling alley in the basement. Like, you can work with the builder to do any of these things as long as you give them enough headroom. And like Brendan said, put it in writing. So whatever the thing is that you're into, maybe not a bowling alley, but whatever the thing is that you're into, I don't know, maybe you're buying a bigger house that can fit a bowling alley, in which case I think the builder can figure it out and charge you through the nose. But yeah, whatever the thing is that you're into, you can customize it. Especially, I feel like the basement is the place to do it,
Yeah. But even on the main floor, a lot of times now the TV hookup is above a fireplace. But sometimes they don't have plugs there. So having an outlet station right above the fireplace, you're either going to cover it with a picture or you're going to cover it with your TV. So something's going there. So even if you're not using it there, it's still good to have. And if you need to run cables through it, have a cable run from behind the fireplace down through to the outside, one of the sides of the fireplace.
Yeah.
That can be helpful, not obtrusive, and nobody will notice.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the last fun one, a very fun one that I'm really hoping that I can pull off, is hidden passageway or a secret room. If you're finishing the basement, this might be a little bit more difficult. If you're finishing the basement yourself, it becomes a lot easier. Generally, my preference is to tell people to finish the basement yourself. One, you're going to save some money off the top of the cost of the house initially. But two, you get to see the house settle. And during that first year, to see how the foundation reacts over a first winter might be more beneficial. But once that's done, maybe you have a little corner office that's in the basement. And maybe you want one of those bookshelf doors where you pull Alice in Wonderland and all of a sudden your door opens. Oh, man.
I
Come on.
I do want that. I want that. And I want like a slide. That's the other thing I want, like a twisty slide. You know, some people have like the spiral staircases. I'm like, I want a twisty slide inside my house. I don't have that. I don't have a secret door even. But, I'm always like, I wonder if there was a way that we could do that. Yeah. I feel like it's probably too late at this point, but man, how cool would that be?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a space under the stairs in the basement that on one of the homes that we saw, like the same model, when it was just about done, they took us through it and they had it all framed in for under the stairs, like wasted space that they were going to close in. And I'm like, what's going on here? Where's the door go? And they're like, oh, no, they close that off. And I'm like, oh, no. So that's going to be like probably a spot for the girls, for the kids to go. Have that be like a little bookshelf door there or something that slides out of the way. And then they have like this neat little, tea light sort of reading under the stairs kind of nook.
We had one at a house we sold recently. Tasse, the bookshelf, like it wasn't a secret door, but it was on casters, and the bookshelf sort of rolled up and out of the way. And I feel like you have to build a little bit of like pistons and whatnot. But
They have kits now. You can get a kit, a secret door kit.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so you've already got it.
Bam. There you go. So get your secret rooms with your new build is what I'm saying. Because they're just fun and they're neat. And no one ever says, well, that was dumb. Everyone wants a secret room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So that's where we're going to wrap it up. If we missed anything, put it in the comments below. Let us know what you think. If you enjoy yourself and you want other people to enjoy themselves, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with other people. Maybe tell them about it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That would be great too. If you want to talk to Sean or I more in depth about new builds, our Calendly links are below. So take a peek there. And until the next one, we hope you enjoyed this one. We'll be back with another one very soon. Until then, keep it real.
Collective.